One of the most influential characters in the Star Wars universe is Obi Wan Kenobi. His life expanded well beyond the 6 films he appears in, with books, comic books, and multiple TV shows. Since Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilm, there are 2 different Star Wars universes: the new canon universe that Disney has created, and the Legends universe, everything Disney made not canon anymore. In this video, I'm only going to talk about what's canon with Disney, as I go through all Star Wars media and explain the life of Obi Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan was a human born on the planet Stugin. As a baby, he showed that he was Force sensitive, and before he was even 6 months old, he was taken to the Jedi Temple in Coruscant to begin his Jedi training. When he was very young, he studied the Force with a group of kids around his age, taught by Master Yoda. When he got older, however, he was made a Padawan to Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. During Obi-Wan's training, both he and Qui-Gon were sent on a mission to the planet Mandalore to protect Duchess Satine, because rebels on her planet were threatening her life. They lived a hard life while on the run from bounty hunters.
We were always on the run, living hand to mouth, never sure what the next day would bring.
One day when they were attacked by venom mites, Obi-Wan had to carry Satine to safety, but fell and dropped her, giving her a scar.
How could I forget? I still have the scar.
Obi-Wan ended up falling in love with Satine while he was protecting her, something that was forbidden for a Jedi. He decided to continue his Jedi training and leave Satine behind. This decision is something that he would always question later on in life.
Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Later, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were sent on another mission. They had to negotiate with the Trade Federation on behalf of Naboo, because they had blocked all trade routes for the planet. The negotiations never took place, and they sent droids after them. They escaped by boarding one of the Trade Federation's ships that landed on Naboo. When they got there, they realized that the Trade Federation had taken over Theed, the city where the Queen of Naboo was located. They rescued Queen Amidala, along with a few others, and set out for Coruscant. As they left the planet's atmosphere, they were attacked by the Trade Federation's blockade, and they knew that they couldn't make it all the way to Coruscant. They landed on a planet called Tatooine to get the part that they needed to fix their ship. While there, Obi-Wan stayed on the ship, and Qui-Gon brought back a boy he had met named Anakin Skywalker, who was more Force sensitive than any other Jedi. Qui-Gon introduced Obi-Wan to Anakin.
Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
When they got the part that they needed, they took off, but were stopped by Darth Maul. Qui-Gon ended up fighting and escaping him before they headed back to Coruscant. When they arrived back, they took Anakin to the Jedi Temple. Qui-Gon, thinking that Anakin was the chosen one, who was part of a prophecy to bring balance to the Force, said that he wanted to train the boy. When they said that he couldn't have 2 apprentices, he said that Obi-Wan was ready to be a full Jedi.
Obi-Wan is ready.
I am ready to face the trials.
There is little more he can learn from me.
Jedi Master Mace Windu put the discussion on hold and sent them back to Naboo to take back the city. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon ended up facing Darth Maul again, and this time, he got the upper hand on Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan, driven by anger and grief, fought back against Maul and cut the man that had killed his master in half. He then ran to Qui-Gon. In his last words, he told Obi-Wan to train Anakin.
Yes, Master.
Obi-Wan begged Yoda to allow him to do this, and he reluctantly accepted and promoted Obi-Wan to a Jedi Knight, meaning he had completed his Padawan training. When Anakin was young, he idolized his master. Obi-Wan took Anakin to the planet Ilum, where Anakin had to go through crystal caves to find a Kyber crystal, the thing that powers a lightsaber. One day, Obi-Wan stopped Anakin from attacking 2 of his fellow Padawans after they had called him a slave. Obi-Wan felt a lot of responsibility taking Anakin on as his Padawan. He's asking questions as he should be at his age. I'm just uncertain I have the answers he needs. If there is a problem, it is with me. The failure is mine. Anakin told Obi-Wan that he wanted to step away from his life as a Jedi, but changed his mind after a particularly eye-opening mission. Obi-Wan and Anakin went on many missions together as Padawan and Master. During the eye-opening mission, they followed a distress call and were caught in the middle of a civil war. They took their weapons, and Obi-Wan told Anakin there was nothing more that they could do. Anakin questioned him on this, and they ended up helping them get to safety. While in the ship, they ended up kidnapping Anakin, and Obi-Wan went to rescue him. Anakin and Obi-Wan were then reunited when Anakin actually ended up saving Obi-Wan. They then called the Republic, and reinforcements came to stop the Civil War once and for all. During another one of their missions, Obi-Wan fell into a nest of Gundarks, and Anakin rescued him.
You fell into that nightmare, Master, and I rescued you, remember?
Over the years, Anakin stopped idolizing Obi-Wan and started to rebel, making training him very difficult.
And you will pay attention to my lead.
Why? What?
10 years after Obi-Wan became Anakin's master, they were sent on a mission to protect Padme Amidala, the former queen of Naboo, who they had worked very closely with 10 years earlier. That night, a bounty hunter tried to kill Padme, and Obi-Wan jumped out the window and grabbed onto the bounty hunter's device, hoping it would lead him back to them. As soon as he got in range though, the bounty hunter shot at him and he was forced to let go. Anakin then caught him in a speeder, and they pursued and caught the bounty hunter. When they interrogated her, she was shot by a toxic dart before she could say who hired her. The man that shot her was wearing Mandalorian armor. Obi-Wan went on a mission of his own to find the man in the armor and tracked him down to a planet called Kamino. It was here that he discovered a clone army that was being made for the Republic. He eventually came face to face with the man he was after, Jango Fett. He pursued him in combat as he tried to escape. Fett got away, but not before Obi-Wan could put a tracker on his ship. He followed the tracker to Geonosis, where he was captured and interrogated by Qui-Gon's former master, Count Dooku.
Qui-Gon always spoke very highly of you.
He told Obi-Wan that the Republic was under the control of a Sith Lord named Darth Sidious, but Obi-Wan didn't believe him.
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
Later on, he along with Anakin and Padme were to be executed, but were saved when Mace Windu and a bunch of other Jedi, along with the clone army, arrived. It is here that the Clone Wars began. Obi-Wan and Anakin faced Count Dooku, and he sliced Obi-Wan's arm and leg with his lightsaber, and cut Anakin's arm off. Yoda then arrived and sent Dooku on the run. When they got back to Coruscant, he and the other Jedi prepared for the Clone Wars.
Begun. The Clone War has.
After the war started, Obi-Wan became a general in the Grand Army of the Republic, and his Padawan Anakin was given the rank of a Jedi Knight as he had completed his training with Obi-Wan. During the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan led many missions where he fought the likes of General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, and Count Dooku. He worked closely with the Clone Army, especially Commander Cody, who accompanied him on more missions than any other clone. On one of Obi-Wan's missions, he returned to Mandalore, the planet where he and Qui-Gon had spent a year, and where he had met Satine, the love of his life. He discovered a group that rebelled against Satine's pacifist ways. They called themselves Death Watch. Every time he tried to catch or interrogate a member of the group, they killed themselves.
He took his own life rather than submit to questioning.
Once this happened in front of Satine, and she was deeply upset as she despised war, violence, and unnecessary death. Obi-Wan later came face to face with multiple members of Death Watch, and he fought them in combat. When Death Watch shot a missile, he got himself and Satine out of the way just in time. Obi-Wan escorted Satine to the Senate so that she could plead her case. He and Satine butted heads during this voyage. The ship eventually came under attack, and a traitor on the ship took Satine hostage. The traitor put Obi-Wan in an impossible situation.
You are no stranger to violence. You'd be hailed as a hero by everyone on this ship. Almost everyone.
Anakin saves Obi-Wan from making the choice and stabs the traitor in the back. When they arrive on Coruscant, the two have a very flirty goodbye.
I'm still not sure about the beard.
Why? What's wrong with it?
It hides too much of your handsome face.
One day, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and his Padawan Ahsoka were taken to a different realm called Mortis, where Anakin was tested to see if he truly was the Chosen One. His old master, Qui-Gon, appeared and discussed Anakin's destiny with him.
If he is the Chosen One, he will discover it here.
Obi-Wan then voices his doubts of whether or not he was doing a good job training Anakin.
I've trained him as well as I could, but he's still willful and balance eludes him.
One day, Obi-Wan started to feel a disturbance in the Force, and this was due to Darth Maul, the person who had killed his master and who he thought he killed on Naboo. He acquired robotic legs as he had been cut in half by Obi-Wan, and he wanted nothing but revenge for the person who took everything from him. He confronted Obi-Wan with the help of Savage Opress.
I have been waiting for you. You left me for dead on Naboo.
It is you.
Savage snuck up on Obi-Wan with a cheap shot, and the two beat him until he was knocked out. They then took him to their ship, and Asajj Ventress jumped on board as they were taking off. She and Obi-Wan fought Maul and Savage.
You Master Qui-Gon Jinn. I gutted him while you stood helpless and watched.
They then left Maul and Savage as they took off. He later engaged them on a planet that they had landed on, but they escaped. Maul would later take over the planet of Mandalore, Satine's home, and it led to an all-out war. Maul brought Obi-Wan before him and forced him on his knees. He used the Force to bring Satine to him and stabbed her right in front of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan held her in his arms, and in her last words, she said,
I've loved you always. I always will.
He embraced her as he held the lifeless body of the only woman he ever loved. They took Obi-Wan to a cell, but he was rescued shortly after by Satine's sister.
You're Satine's sister, aren't you? I'm so sorry.
A little while after that, Obi-Wan was sent on a mission to investigate Mandalore with Master Tip Lee. Obi-Wan was struggling with his emotions over Maul and Satine. They figured out which ship Maul was on, and they made a crash landing into the hangar. When he and Tip Lee got there, they were confronted by Darth Maul and Count Dooku. Mace Windu then stepped in, and there was a huge fight. Obi-Wan watched as Tip Lee was stabbed by Dooku. He ran over to her as Maul and Dooku escaped, and Maul said, "Don't worry, Kenobi. We'll be seeing each other again soon enough." Near the end of the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan and Anakin helped Ventress get Quinlan Vos back from Count Dooku, who had captured and tortured him for months, making him turn to the dark side. They broke Vos out, and they just barely escaped as they returned to Coruscant. A few months later, sensing deception, Obi-Wan and Anakin were ordered by the Jedi Council to follow Vos on his mission to kill Dooku. After Vos got the upper hand on Dooku, he told him that he would spare him as long as he brought him to Darth Sidious. Obi-Wan and Anakin, being right about the deception, then arrested them both. They were on their way back to Coruscant when their ship was shot down. When the ship crashed, Obi-Wan saw Asajj Ventress die as she was held in Vos's arms. Obi-Wan defended Ventress to the Jedi Council, and he and Vos took her body to Dathomir, her home planet. Obi-Wan and Anakin were sent on a mission to rescue Chancellor Palpatine. They defeated Dooku and brought the Chancellor home to Coruscant. Obi-Wan was then sent on a mission to take down General Grievous. Before he left, he told Anakin how proud he was of him.
You are strong and wise, Anakin, and I am very proud of you.
They then said goodbye.
Goodbye, old friend.
Little did Obi-Wan know that that would be the last time he would see his friend as Anakin Skywalker. Obi-Wan defeated Grievous in combat. Commander Cody, the clone he had worked with on so many missions during the Clone Wars, followed Order 66 and shot him down. These orders came from Palpatine, who had been discovered to be Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord that Count Dooku had told Obi-Wan about. Obi-Wan survived, but he was thought to be dead.
Did you find Kenobi? Sir, no one could have survived that fall.
He went back to Coruscant and he met with Yoda. He found out that all of the clones had turned and almost all of the Jedi had been wiped out. He then saw a security hologram of Anakin killing younglings.
I can't watch anymore.
He set out to find Anakin. He came to the conclusion that Anakin was the father of Padme's unborn baby.
Anakin is the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
Padme, knowing the location of Anakin, took a ship to go see him, which Obi-Wan snuck onto so that she would lead him right to Anakin. He and Anakin fought each other in an epic battle. Obi-Wan eventually defeated him.
You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
Obi-Wan didn't have the strength to kill his dear friend and left him burning. He took Padme to a medical center where she gave birth to twins right before she died. Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa agreed that the baby should be split up and hidden from the Empire. Obi-Wan took one of the babies, Luke, to Anakin's home planet Tatooine and gave him to his step-uncle and aunt. Obi-Wan stayed on the planet and watched over Luke from afar as his aunt and uncle raised him. He also changed his name to Ben Kenobi. While on Tatooine, Obi-Wan said, "As hard as it was to become a Jedi, it was even harder to stop being one, but I did." It had been years since he had touched his lightsaber. One day blurred into the next, with no way to distinguish it. His intent was to train Luke, but his Uncle Owen refused to allow it. Obi-Wan knew he couldn't train him, but what he could do was protect him. One day he stopped Jabba the Hutt's men from taking all the water his uncle had from his moisture farm, during the worst drought anyone could remember. One night, he felt a disturbance in the Force. This was because Luke had gone missing. He tried to steal the water from Jabba's men. When they went after Luke, Obi-Wan stepped in and took the entire crew on single-handed. He then carried Luke back to his aunt and uncle's house. Seeing Luke's courage standing up to those men finally gave Obi-Wan the courage to embrace his old Jedi ways instead of renounce them. Obi-Wan learned to communicate with Qui-Gon, his old master, and talked to him regularly. Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan how to become one with the Force, just as he did, something he had also taught to Yoda. Over the years, Obi-Wan watched Luke grow. One day he saw his piloting skills when he was with his friends. While watching him, he realized how similar he was to Anakin, something that worried Obi-Wan very much. That same day, he watched Luke crash his ship and ruin it. Obi-Wan took on a job protecting Jawas from Tusken Raiders, and one night took on a whole pack of them. He used the money from protecting them to buy Luke the parts he needed to fix his ship, only to have it be returned by his Uncle Owen. One day, Owen was confronted by a bounty hunter, and Obi-Wan stepped in to save him. The bounty hunter then attacked Obi-Wan and trapped him. Owen tried to stop the bounty hunter, but got pushed off the ledge. Obi-Wan pulled him back with the Force, allowing Owen to grab onto the side of the ledge. While he was helping him, however, the bounty hunter got up and attacked Obi-Wan, making him drop Owen. Luke then flew in and caught his uncle with his ship. Seeing that Owen was safe, Obi-Wan finished the bounty hunter off. Afterward, he and Owen didn't speak a word to one another. One day, Darth Maul arrived on Tatooine, following his vision of twin suns, the thing that the planet was known for. Obi-Wan found Ezra Bridger passed out in the sand and took him to safety. Obi-Wan had already known that Maul was coming.
You know?
One doesn't survive as long as I have by being foolish.
He then said that he didn't want to fight Maul, but he knew it was ultimately inevitable. When Maul showed up, Obi-Wan refused to fight him until Maul found out why Obi-Wan was on the planet.
Perhaps you are protecting something? No. Protecting someone.
Obi-Wan immediately took out his lightsaber, ready to fight to protect Luke. Maul attacked, and in 3 swings, Obi-Wan killed Maul, the thing that should have been done many, many years ago, the day that he had killed his master. Maul collapsed into Obi-Wan's arms. Obi-Wan then closed his glossy, empty eyes. 2 years later, Obi-Wan saved Luke from Tusken Raiders and brought him back to his house. Luke shows him a message on R2-D2 from Leia Organa.
Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Obi-Wan finally tells Luke all the things that his uncle was shielding him from. He then lies to him and says that his father was killed by Darth Vader.
He betrayed and murdered your father.
Luke's aunt and uncle were killed, and Luke decides to go with Obi-Wan to help Leia. They hire Han Solo and Chewbacca to fly them to Alderaan, Leia's home planet. When they get there, they see that the planet was destroyed and get pulled into the Death Star's tractor beam. They split up, and Obi-Wan goes to turn off the tractor beam, while the others go get Leia, who they discovered was on the Death Star. Obi-Wan came face to face with his old apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, now known as Darth Vader. He tells Vader that if he kills him, he will become one with the Force.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
As he's fighting Vader, he sees Luke and smiles at him. He then lowers his defenses, and Vader killed him. His body then disappeared. He had in fact become one with the Force. In death, Obi-Wan continues to preach the importance of the Force to Luke.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
A few years later, he tells Luke to go to the Dagobah system.
There you will learn from Yoda.
Luke trains with Yoda, but when he sees his friends are in trouble through the Force, he leaves before his training is finished. Obi-Wan and Yoda beg him not to go, and when he does, they mention Leia.
That boy is our last hope.
No. There is another.
When Luke went face to face with Vader, he told him that he was his father, contradicting what Obi-Wan had told him. When Luke returned to Yoda to complete his training, he talks to Obi-Wan again, and he finally tells Luke the truth of his heritage. Obi-Wan says that there is no hope to save Anakin from himself.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
Luke believed otherwise, and went to face him with the plan to turn him back to the light. Luke succeeds, and the rebels win the war to defeat the Empire. After the battle, Obi-Wan's Force Ghost appears alongside Yoda and the man he considered to be his brother, back to the way that he remembered him when they were dear friends. We watched Obi-Wan grow from a Padawan learner to a Jedi Master to a wise old man, and finally, to become one with the Force. He was so kind-hearted and always put others before himself. He loved, influenced, and brought hope to so many people. He is truly an inspiration to so many characters in the series, and of course, to so many fans.